Dissecting players. Very interesting concept we have introduced here in GM Talks, trying to look at players' weaknesses through the lens of the opening, the middle game, the end game, and strategy and tactics. Sort of the 5 elements of chess, if you can say so. So we're going to look at a player from Sweden, Jonatan Tops. I met him at the great restaurant in Lindham, Stella, Bistro Stella it's called, and some very good food. There was a tournament there, and he seems like a friendly guy. He's 41 years old, have returned to chess, and would like to go from 1900 to 2000. So I think that's probably some of you viewers out there would have the same target for your improvement. So let's get into it and look at some of the games. He sent 6 games from Mumien Open. Usually we use 5 games, but this time we'll go through 6. And he's white against Mats Erik Pistol with a rating of 1802, and Jonatan is 1934. This is a King's Pawns opening, the Italian game, and this d3. You can play that, but it's not necessary yet. You can also play c3 or castle first. All this is very common, c3 and a6, and a4 is the modern main line, and it's quite an interesting way of playing. There are some books, the Italian Renaissance, about this, and I think it's a rather good move. Black has a lot of option here: h6, bishop a7, castle, and so on. Knight e7 is not in the books, and Jonatan immediately tries to exploit it with this move, undermining this square. I kind of like that. That shows that you're opportunistic and would like to make an impact immediately. The problem for Black is that he would not like to. He would really like to not take on d4, but unfortunately he has to. And this kind of structure is known as good for white in general. That if you can get this and keep it, you will have great attacking chances on the king's side. Okay. And a3 is also a nice move, showing some sense of prophylactic thinking, avoiding all kind of things with bishop g4, which could be a bit annoying, making this pawn here vulnerable. So h6, avoiding the same kind of problem. e5, and I also like that. So basically, white is playing very energetically in an open game where he's gotten a head start, and black has not castled yet. And knight d7, all very interesting. Queen b3, very, very, very aggressive. Not sure it works, but it probably does. Can you take an e5? I don't know. There is some pin, but it would be very, very scary for black to take an e5. He chose to castle, and here we see that there was a plan, and the plan was this. And we see that if this move, then this is a problem. And we can easily see that, actually. So that was probably a really pretty obvious tactics. Get in and take, and of course black is totally busted here already. Check and e6, and I like that. Not just saying, okay, I got a pawn more. No, playing precise chess all the way. And black resigned after king d6, knight e4. There is a family check there. Okay, so this was a nice game by white. Not very well played by black, who didn't take care of himself. But and this looked easily like 2000. It could also be 2300. But it doesn't say so much, because black didn't really put up a fight after getting under pressure. So not so much to say yet. Next game. Here we'll flip the board. Jonatan is black against Ludwig Morel, who's got 1863. And by the way, if you want to beat 2000, you should beat these players below 1900 most of the time. So you should think of yourself as a favorite that should beat these guys most of the time. You should be a little bit better in almost all aspects of chess. Okay, and we have a Sicilian, and this is the classical Sicilian. It's a real chess opening. Bishop e3 is not known as the best move here, and it's a sign that white does not really have an opening here. The main move of bishop g5 and bishop c4. Knight g4 is a good move, attacking the bishop here, and after this and this move, black is already clearly better, very much better here. Bishop here, take, and here black plays a6. I'm not sure, you can probably not take this one due to some knight b5 is very annoying. So, but a6 makes a lot of sense, and we see that white is messed up here, to be honest. Bishop c4, knight e5. Here you could argue for taking it. I'm not sure what's going on, but probably white will play knight d5, threatening knight c7, and also rook b1, and maybe it's a bit annoying. So not taking also makes sense. The thing is, you should be very careful here, because this pawn down here is weak. So knight e5 makes a lot of sense. Bishop b3. And here black plays this move. And this move I don't like. And it's also sort of shows that black is not really comfortable in the Sicilian structure, or have not seen a lot of games. You don't have to get the bishop out. In general, the bishop should not go out like this in the Sicilian, with like the classical and so on. You would, in this position, I would definitely play something like e6, blocking this one here. And regarding this guy down here, it's gonna get out. It's gonna become good. You're gonna trust your position. This bishop will be a very fine piece in the future. Don't worry. It has great potential in the long run, and you have to think in the long run when you play the Sicilian. You have a lot of good endings, so you have to be a little bit patient. So bishop d4, don't like. The bishop is hanging in the air. It's weakening the white squares to go out there. There could also sometimes be a check here that's annoying and so on. So bishop d4 I don't like, and it's kind of shows a little bit of not having studied a lot of classical games, where with Kasparov and so on, where you say, okay, I'm not gonna put my bishop there. And of course it looks very nice. Then you can transfer the bishop here and so on. The problem is white is very well developed now, and after this move, which was the plan, comes a really unpleasant move by white. This move, and black is already totally busted, and this is the kind of thing you should be careful about. So having a better knowledge about the openings is essential here. And also what I would say, which is I suspected, I guess that I was going to look for in Jonatan's games, was a problem with what I'll call zooming out. So what do I mean by zooming out? I mean that you look from sort of above and say what's going on. And if you look at this position here, we could say that black has more pawns in the center. He has better structure. He much better structure, and he has the bishop pair. So if you zoom out, you can say that in a strategic sense, black is almost winning here. So he just should not mess it up. And this is what happens with this move and the subsequent plan. So this is and this is very difficult, this zooming out, but it's very important that you just okay, I'm more or less strategically winning here. I just have to don't not make any mistakes, and I'm just gonna get the win. And if you think that way, then the black position becomes much easier to play, because you don't think about what you should do. You just think, okay, I have to prevent my opponent from doing something bad in the F file, this file here, and I'm just gonna win due to much better structure, much better pieces, and so on, and bishop pair. So and after this move, well, we'll just take it a little bit fast. This is really unpleasant. I don't know what the computer says, but I really don't like this position for black, and it all goes to goes really bad here. And yeah, threatening mate in 1. You can pause and see if you can see it. Okay, he saw it. And I'm not sure white playing completely red, but black is of course totally dead in the water with the bad king here. So now white just have to not mess up, and he will win. He's got 3 pawns more, and black has a bad king, so it's totally lost. Bam 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 bam. Just gonna go through this fast, and threatening something like this. Oops. So and after this falls, and b5 is gonna fall as well, and black resign. Well, e5 is gonna fall as well, so black resigned. Okay, so this was a sign that you should probably study some openings, Jonathan. And okay, next game. Here Jonathan is black again. And oops, and we have a Benko or Volga gambit. It's a typical sign of an active, aggressive player, which I think is a good thing if you want to go to 2000, because players below a certain point have very big difficulties defending themselves. And this game also, I haven't checked it with the computer, but I just played it through it rather fast. And this is a normal Benko. And knight g4 is also nice. Sometimes you want to go here. Another move could be something like queen a5. You also play queen b6. Usually you want to get your rook here. You can also play knight b6 sometimes. And this is and by the way, white is 1873, and this move is just a disaster. Because it makes this bishop really strong. By the way, in the Benko gambit, the endings are usually good for black due to the pressure on these making it, and this pawn can often be undermined by something like f5, and suddenly black will have a strong center and a lot of pressure on the queen side and win the endgame. Here, this is really a really serious trouble. There is a problem here, and white does not solve this problem. If and black is already clearly better. If something like bishop d3, you can take and play c4. It's very difficult due to the fire from this fianchetto bishop down here. It's very difficult to free the queen side. And here it's already you lose the exchange, and it's of course totally winning already. But the way black plays is nice. He keeps being active. I like that. This move I'm not sure about, but well, it's probably good. It takes away this square from the bishop, and basically this pawn is going to hang. So he took here and ready to move the pawn again, and it comes here, and black is totally winning both positionally and materially. And white couldn't find anything better than exchanging this bishop. And yeah, in general we should not see, but let's see how the technique is going for it. And that was a good, nice move. Okay, and here a simple move would be this. That would be easy. So no matter what white takes backward, you give a check on e2 and have more or less a winning attack. So I like that move. That wins easily, and that's also what he did, by the way. And here he took on a2. I don't like that. Well, of course, it's nice to win a pawn. It's nice to threaten here, but doesn't this getting into the kill zone win rather easily? Rook here, rook there, and so on. And well, actually it does, because you can't play bishop f2 due to queen e4 check. So queen e2 here just seems to win rather fast. Okay, queen a2 is now, of course, still totally winning. And basically we shouldn't see more here. But I was a bit confused that it took so long to win this game. And black has got an exchange and 2 pawns more. So why doesn't it win very fast? But okay, it's fine to not hurry in these situations. And g5, was that really necessary? Gee, I think you could probably get away with something. Okay, there was a check there in case of d3, b2, g4, and yeah, now it's winning. There's mate. Okay, so this was fine. Nice game. White did not play that well, so it's hard to say. I think players at 2000 will defend better. They will not make this mistake, but I think. But in general, it didn't tell that much. But black played nicely, and it seems that if Jonatan gets active good position, he will play rather well. Okay, so let's see the next game. And here we flip the board. He's white against Jakob Maivik, who's a 2059 rated player. And we have the Italian game again. And d3. And I don't know why he plays d3 here, because if he castles anyway, so I'm not sure it makes any sense to play d3. You could argue for that both castle and c3 is more accurate, especially since he castles in this position. But anyway, this is mainline quiet Italian. Castle is just fine. a4 is a little bit premature, maybe. Even though Anand I've seen Anand play this, I'm not sure I like this move, because it's definitely better for black. And this is a little tip for black players with e4, e5 to get a5 in. Against a4, and if you haven't played a6, you want to play a5 and just win a tempo on that pawn. This is not a great thing for white to have these things in, because this square is now weak when you go d4. So knight bd2, all sensible. Bishop e6, and you could take that. And in general, it's this structure here is considered to be slightly better for white. When I was a junior or younger, but I'm not sure a lot of players will have good results with white, because it's difficult to play, because black got a center and he's got an open f file, but he's also got this structure here, and if you play very well with white, you may be able to exploit that. And in recent years, this structure has not done so good for black as they did earlier. So taking here makes sense. Bishop b5, you can play that, and queen b8, and that's kind of a cool move, which is you're stepping out of any pins, and you're ready to put the queen here, to put pressure on this diagonal here. It's kind of a cool move, queen b8, and bishop takes c6. And I don't sure I like that either. The idea is to play d4 immediately, but here in this position, black is very well positioned to do something about that without getting into trouble. And this is exactly what happens. So here he takes, and bishop b4, and we see that this pawn's coming in here has helped black, who has the bishop pair, and white in general with this structure here, you either want to be able to massage the c file, or get an attack against Black's king. At the moment it's not so easy because the center is not that strong. So continuing here, and the problem with this move is it makes this guy here into a giant. So I would be very reluctant to play e5 in that position unless it more or less wins, because now you can make sure that all Black's pieces would have nice squares. And also it goes pretty wrong for Jonatan this game. Knight d7. You could argue that he has to simply go all in with knight d5, trying to, but I still maybe just bishop d5 looks fine. White is not well developed enough. The rooks are not connected. The bishop is on c1, and here bishop d5, and this was of course the idea, to attack down on this and provoke this. The problem is White does not have enough control over the white squares, so he cannot really exploit that that Black was forced to play g6. Here f4 looks dangerous. You want to use this rook to get into the game, but it's premature and it leaves this pawn weak, and Black simply goes queen b6, just playing. And Black is not in a hurry here. Just play rook here, and he's already clearly better. Black and White is having some problems with this pawn. King h1. Notice that this bishop is extremely annoying, because you in a lot of situations you would like to have a rook on e1, and here Black plays f6, and already White is busted. It goes like this, and yeah, and f5 was the idea behind this, but this is a tactical oversight. So what do Black do here? And probably the idea was after this to have something like this. The problem is this here, and this simply, maybe this is interesting. I don't know. Maybe you could do that. I have to put on the engine. Sorry. Oh, there was a spoiler here that maybe Jonatan missed this move, it seems, because there is no rook f8. It's not a threat. You just take it and you have a lot of pawns more. So after something like this, Black is simply winning. Queen e8 coming up very soon, and there's nothing to do. Okay, I'll put out Stockfish again. So this was probably what he missed. Queen c1, and pawn is lost, and the rest is just yeah. And this ending, of course, totally lost. And look at this bishop here, and there's you cannot say it really has anything to do with an ending, because he did manage to get some tricks, but it's not enough. If just the rook was on d7, then the king knight f6 would be enough, but it's not. And here the next move is I guess this move or something, and why Black has 3 pawns more, and the knight is in trouble. So okay, that was a sort of a premature attack. So the opening was probably, I don't know if it's the middle game of the opening. Strategically, it seems like that Jonatan is more into tactics than strategy in general. Okay, let's see the next game. And here we switch the board. It's black. This is the Rosolimo variation with e6 and knight e7, rook e1, a6. This is all theory. Another move here is knight b6, but a6 is the main line, I think. And here you can play knight d4, or you can play, I think the main line is d5. D6, I don't like. It's just not what black was intending. And after this move, white is already better. He's getting this for free, having a slight but clear advantage. So I don't like this, and it's a sign that the opening is an Achilles heel for Jonatan. That he's playing all these theory moves. We have a normal theory position. The sort of obvious move here is to play d5 and get your pieces out. And this move just shows sort of not understanding what the opening was about. You did all these moves to get the bishop back into a passive position, and you have to get your pieces out. And here white is just allowed to build a center. He's playing against Joel Hogeman, who's 21.95, so it's a very strong player, and of course better than what Jonatan is aiming for. This position is better for white. We have these 2 pawns against these 2 pawns here, which means that white simply have 1 rank more to play with than black, which is translated into a clear advantage. And of course a very easy development. b5, trying to get the pieces out. Rook c1, bishop b7, d5. It seems like the right plan. There are some white squares. Knight ce5, getting is out. Knight d4. I like that move. There is something here. There's something here. There's something there, and already I don't like black's position. He has to take. You could take back with the pawn, but knight takes makes a lot of sense. All only good pieces, and there is a big hole here, and there is a big hole there, and yeah, and white is probably threatening this move. So, well, knight c6 is probably good. Also, something like this will really weaken black's queen side. So already black is in trouble. Bishop d5 is a good move. It shows understanding that you have to get your pieces out, and you have to exchange this bishop because it was not doing anything. So let's get rid of that bishop pair and so on. So that's good fighting here, taking it, getting rid of it like that. Queen b6, hoping for some tricks maybe, but also connecting the rooks. So you could argue that it could go to f6, but it makes sense to go to b6. Bishop c a3. And it seems that black is getting some counterplay here, because bishop a3 looks a bit strange. Of course, it does take away this square, but you could also argue for knight c6. Knight c4, hitting here and here, and rook fe8, exchanging 1 rook. And I kind of like black's play here. b3. And here I'm sure that Jonatan was hoping for this trick. Can you see the follow-up? And black plays white plays this move. Okay, so this position is maybe a little bit annoying for black. Could be because there are some problems with the coordination, and at the moment white is actually threatening this move. So that's a bit. H5 is kind of a cool way of solving this problem. You're basically hoping that that this f4 is then this knight would be hanging, so you can go here, and you're also giving your king some air. So I'm not sure it works out tactically, but I kind of like the idea. So that's kind of showing some understanding of what's going on here, some talent that could be good. Rook c2, white keeps playing sensible moves that are probably good. And queen a5, and I think black is playing for tricks. He's playing for tricks down here on e1. So he's hoping to do some tricks. Maybe black has to find another way to play here, because white has a threat, and I don't think Jonatan sees it as it comes. He played queen a5 and rook e2, and suddenly this threat is very serious, and this problem with the knight is not going away. And rook f8 is, that's sort of an admission that something is very wrong. So things are falling apart. Knight f5 is also nice move, threatening here. Queen d4, just getting pieces out. And maybe again threaten f4, preventing something like knight d7. You could argue that maybe this is black's chance to do something. He would love to play this move, but it's unfortunately mate here. So this is a serious threat. And so f6, and then comes queen a7. Oosh! So white is playing really well. This problem is serious. Knight f7. Knight e7 check, take, rook takes, so a lot of pressure here, and white's king is pretty solid, and basically black is lost as far as I can see. And after this move, white plays this. So white played very well here, and this would happen to a 2000 player as well. But I think some of the problems comes from this move d6. That was clearly not in tune of the position and in the spirit of the variation. Okay, I'm gonna save the game. We have the last game, and Jonatan is black again, and this is again the classical variation: f3, e5. Interesting move. F3 is, by the way, if white does not know that this is the best move and does not know it, then this classical variation is obviously a good choice for black in the Sicilian. So hereby recommended for all 1900 players. It also leads to very fascinating chess. Anyway, F3, E5 is also natural. We've seen it, of course, with the knight on b8 and a6, where e5 is the main move, and it cannot be really bad here. Bishop e6, and maybe black is already threatened to go d5, so white plays knight d5, stopping that. Rook c8 and bishop d5, and that's always interesting. And here normal move would be bishop e7. And I'm not sure I like this this bishop d5, and I'm not sure I like a6, because now you can take on f6, and even though I don't like this a6, it's it's positional. I'm not sure either of them know what's going on here. So bishop e7, and even if you lose a pawn, you'll get some compensation for sure. Queen d2, so probably white should take on f6, and here black does not miss the chance again. Knight b8, and there we see that he's losing a tempi, but because the knight was on c6, so maybe it's not better to have it there unless the knight can jump to b4. Oops, I'll just oops, castle, bishop e7. But this is a very interesting strategic position. White has the bishop pair, but sometimes this white squared bishop can be very bad, and black can easily get a lot of play on the black squares. Bishop e3, white was maybe afraid of. Oh, sorry. Maybe black was threatening this move. I don't know. It could be. Bishop e3 is also normal, getting ready to push the d pawn, getting some space, and maybe get some activity on the white square. Knight b d7 is all makes sense. This thing, a very interesting position, often from the English attack in the night off. You can get these kind of position, and I recommend them. They're fun to play, and they are strategic and tactically rich. C4. That's a bit of a dangerous move. Here, I think I would play. I'll play knight b6 with black. This move, forcing this move, because this one is hanging. You don't want to lose it, and this one is hanging as well. So you can't play knight a5 or something like that. So this move looks interesting for black. White will probably have to play this move, and after this move, the black squares can easily be a big problem for white. Even though, of course, the white squares can be a problem for black. So all in all, it's a very interesting strategic position. I would prefer black here. Instead, black played b6. That's very passive, and I'm not sure I like this move. But an a5, and this is something you sometimes do in the night off, especially with this move in here. And this situation, I think, well, to be honest, I think white is better if he does play maybe king b1 or something, and then preparing this move here. Oops. Here, and here, and here, and getting this square for the knight. So basically, and I'm not sure black would be able to get any kind of counterplay here, because this bishop controls all the key points you can attack. So just king b1 followed by getting the knight to b5 would be nice. Black can move this wherever he likes. You just move your pawn and protect your position. So instead, white played a4, which looks dangerous. And this structure is a bit scary for white, I think. I would not be too happy. Here, black should probably just castle and wait a little bit, and he will always have chances with this pawn gone sailing away to a4. He will always have chances on the queen side. So having a little bit, well, that's the thing about zooming out is interesting here. So knight c5 is indefinitely premature, because after this move, and here white gets to exchange queens. This is not, you cannot avoid it really in a sensible way. So, and you get your pawn back, but this position is well, and b3, and maybe you should go to a2 here. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, to be honest. Then he played rook a6, and I'm not sure I like that move. King b2, and comes another move, rook a8, which seems that black is really confused here. And of course, with this super knight here, white is much better here. He also have nice potential on the queen side. Having the king on the queen side is now an asset instead of a liability. And now having an passed pawn, setting a little trap, putting on white, and what is that? Now here, this maneuver was good. I think black probably thought he was fine here. I think he's definitely worse. The thing is, taking here is not really possible, because this will be a monster. So in this position, white should probably just play this move and just say, okay, you can take, and it will be your problem, because my bishop will be extremely strong. So here white is just, and he's just gonna push the pawn and so on, and push this pawn, and you can never really take this, because pawns in this kind of rook and bishop activity, and opposite color bishop activity means so much. So this is huge mistake, positional disaster, because this knight will be pretty good, and here final call for this move to avoid this move. Oosh! And suddenly everything has changed, and it goes pretty fast. And here I like this plan for black, just getting the king in front of the pawn, and yeah, and totally winning, and we don't have to see anymore. So and by the way, white was 1784 here. Okay, so that was 6 games with Jonatan Tops. Can he be 2000? I think so. But and we have not seen any endgames, real endgames, so we don't know how strong he is in the endgame. You can see that he's probably got some problem with zooming out, trying to sort of get an overview of what's really going on in the position. So that will guide him strategically in his decisions. But his main problem seems to be that the openings are lacking a lot. He needs to work a lot more on the openings. That would he would benefit a lot from that, I think. And I think that alone should be enough, because he, as we can see, he's pretty good with the initiative and getting started with strategy. So Jonatan, work on your openings, and I think you will be 2000 without too much trouble. It should not be that hard. You just need better openings. Well, you need to know your openings better. I think your openings are good. The Italian, the Volga Benko gambit, they are all good openings, and classical Sicilian as well. But you need to know what's going on just beside, after, when you're losing theory. For instance, in Rosolimo, it's important to know why you're doing what you're doing. That would help you a lot in getting more space to calculate. There were some tactical mistakes, but in general, I think tactics are pretty good with Jonatan. It's not the main issues. The main issue is the knowledge of the opening. So this was DM Talks. Thank you for watching.